All right, everyone, welcome back into another props video. Give me a touchdown on the top prop bets for this college football Saturday. Let's go ahead and get into it. And so I do want to start off with calling out some of these middles that we currently have going, specifically with Ashton Genty there, where we're seeing his prop line is off by an insane amount. Okay, first and foremost, the average sportsbook line really loves the over here. Okay, I want to call that out. That's crazy. Now, he has been someone that I would call a cheat sheet breaker. He has just been breaking the cheat sheet here, but I wouldn't say that that's exactly the case today. And obviously that's because of his likelihood to score multiple touchdowns, get like almost 200 yards rushing and whatnot. Like, that can be crazy, but I wouldn't say that's the case today because we are seeing that the underdog line that we're getting here is massively high and massively different compared to the PrizePicks line that we were getting. And again, we are doing a slight prop line calculation difference here. Full point PPR on PrizePicks, half point PPR on underdog. But underdog should never be higher than PrizePicks because of that. So let's take a deeper look at this. And so obviously we see that he's been able to really kind of crush this over now basically every single game. But, you know, I don't really think we're worried about the matchup just in general too much. Again, this is just a massive prop line difference that shouldn't be happening. But you can see 4 for 5, he's been able to get the over here. But then we pull up his line on underdog here. Again, guys, this should not be higher than PrizePicks. This is crazy. I'm sure one of the two will end up switching it. And obviously it's just due to his likelihood to score multiple touchdowns. I'm assuming underdog is a little bit higher than PrizePicks, and really the average sportsbook line is pretty much saying he's going to score 2 touchdowns, and so that's why the average sportsbook line is probably higher than both. Just crazy, right? I mean, just crazy. But looking at it, at this line, we can see that he has been struggling to get this over on underdog. And so this is a perfect middling opportunity here. Hopefully he continues to middle at this line. I did want to start out with that one because that is easily the top prop bet that we currently have. Now let's talk about some other prop bets that we are currently getting. Again, I kind of like the fact that DJ Giddens is popping up as a good prop bet for us on PrizePicks here, where we're seeing a decent prop line difference between how PrizePicks is valuing him versus everyone else. And so that's a pretty big edge there. So the average sportsbook line would have it about 19.5. The projection data, 19.2. Underdog line, 19.14. So we see that the PrizePicks line is clearly the outlier. Now, this is a situation where we could be betting this both ways. We could be betting and hoping for a middle, which, don't get me wrong, could end up happening. But we see he's been right around this line for basically every single game thus far. And so, yeah, this is one where I don't mind betting the under, but it's also one where I guess I could talk myself into also betting the over. But I think it's obviously the data is liking the under more. So let's just stick with that. This one's for Friday, so ignore this one. Let's get into Corey Kiner here. So this is another one where the projection data, the average sportsbook line, the underdog line is all telling us one thing, where the PrizePicks line is telling us another. And so this is one instantly that I'm okay with betting the under on. We can see he has been someone that thus far this season has really kind of struggled to get his overs. And last week he barely was able to get this over as well. And so if you think he's going to have a good game against ISU, a team that might be, you know, I don't know, kind of going through it now, maybe that's a reason to stay away. But all in all, this one is seemingly a decent bet that we have. And then one that I like a decent amount as well. We got Makai Lemon for his over fantasy score. And if we look at his kind of PrizePicks game log, we'll see that he has really just been crushing a lot lately. And I would argue that this isn't really a matchup that we should be worried about too much. So I love the fact 4 straight. It's hopefully that continues for him as well. Obviously, scoring 2 touchdowns the last 2 weeks is obviously helping, but he has been crushing his over receiving yards. That goes hand in hand with getting his over fantasy score. And so I see why the data is liking this one, and I'm liking this one as well. And so we are still getting some decent bets that are popping up here on the PrizePicks cheat sheet, but I want to show you guys some big prop line differences that we have between PrizePicks and underdog. And so looking at it, we are getting the Genty one where it's just off by a ton. And then we're getting some receiving yards props. Those are all great. But the one I want to talk about is Tyler Shough here for his fantasy score. Now, this is one that I kind of like betting the over on. We're not getting enough sportsbook data on him just yet to be able to make an educated bet one way or the other. This is stuff that I'll be updating throughout the day. Today or tonight, and then tomorrow morning as well. Hopefully we get enough data going in there. Basically, that means we need to have multiple sportsbook giving us multiple lines on their passing touchdowns, anytime touchdowns. Sometimes for quarterback, that doesn't apply if they're not a quarterback that scores that often rushing, right? But then obviously receivers and whatnot, it's receptions, receiving yards, quarterbacks, INTs, just all that stuff combined together. So he's just not meeting that threshold. Could meet that threshold tomorrow, but he gets a really good matchup And on top of that, we are seeing a decent prop line difference for him between PrizePicks and Underdog. And so to me, that makes me want to see, all right, which side of this do I want to be on? And the side I am going to end up on is his over fantasy score. And that's mostly going to be due to the matchup and also the matchups that he's had lately as well. He's had some tough matchups lately, and we can see he's been able to get the over twice as well. But this is definitely an easier matchup compared to the rest of those, going against Stafford, who's given up an average of 34.6 points per game. And so that should lead to good things for Tyler in this game. See his passing touchdowns here. Seeing if you guys like that. Obviously, favored to get 1.5 passing touchdowns. That bodes well with him to get his over fantasy score then. Rushing TD would obviously be great. And we see his passing yards again. Easier matchup. He should be able to get this over passing yards as well. If you are someone that maybe doesn't have the availability for fantasy score or doesn't like betting on fantasy score, you could do this. His over passing yards against Stafford, kind of an easier matchup for him. But that's one there that I wanted to call it specifically for PrizePicks. I do like that over. If you guys want to try the middle there, you can. I mean, it's off by 3.65. And the nice thing about a quarterback is that there is no calculation difference. It's just straight up. That's his line. And I'm not doing that because I like the matchup, but it's worth calling out. Like, yeah, it's obviously much more difficult for him to get that over then. And for what it's worth, guys, passing yards here, 272.5. So a slightly better bet for the over there if you guys want to run that out. And then let's continue on. I'm still using the PrizePicks cheat sheet, but I want to call out some that I like kind of for the opposite reasons because I like the unders on Underdog. So Drew Allard there for his under fantasy score. Again, we see a decent prop line difference for him. He has been someone that has just kind of struggled thus far this season to really go off and have a lot of fantasy points scored. Same thing with Nico Emiliava, where he looked like he was going to have a good game last week. If you guys recall last week's video, his prop line difference was off by 5. And it seemed like he was going to crush it, end up getting injured. But he should be good to go in this game. So, I like these two for the unders, and I'll show you guys why. He has been someone that has really struggled thus far this season. Again, minus that one game against last week where he ended up getting injured. He really crushed there. Did okay against Kentucky as well. But now he obviously gets a more difficult matchup this week going against Georgia. And DraftKings is a little bit different scoring, but we're going to see mostly struggling against these more difficult matchups. And obviously, this is going to be a more difficult matchup, so I do expect him to struggle. I get why there's a prop line difference. If you guys think there's a chance that he, rushes a decent amount, maybe scores a rushing touchdown, you could bet his over on PrizePicks, but this is one where I like the under on Underdog much more. This is his PrizePicks line, so we can see barely gain the over there. And so that 2-point difference to me is enough to really be intrigued to bet him there. And then looking at Drew, he does get a decent matchup against Purdue. Not really a great matchup, not exactly one that I would say we need to go out of our way to target, but not terrible. Now, he is someone, though, that has struggled to really get this over. And again, we look at his line. The projection data does agree that we probably should be betting the over on PrizePicks. I don't know. I struggled to get there. I think I would rather bet the under on Underdog. And I understand that, the matchups that he's had lately have been more difficult matchups, and that's probably why I'm thinking that. But looking at the last 3 games, it's tough to kind of ignore that. And so, again, I do like the under on Underdog there. Then let's get back into the PrizePicks cheat sheet. We're just going to flip it around just so you guys can see this real quick. So we got Devin Neal as well. Flipping it around, fantasy score, that's something. And then we already saw DJ Giddens, that's there. We got Kyle as well. This is a decent prop line difference here. But that's not going to be one where I feel like I have a good idea of really what we should be doing there. There is one other bet that I want to call out that I like as well. I like betting on DeAndre Miller to get over 4.5 receptions, and that's just mostly due to 1, his matchup, and 2, his workload that he's had recently. So he's had 33 targets over the past 2 weeks, which is obviously insane. We can see over the last 3 weeks, he's been able to get this over. And against Wisconsin, almost had the over as well with 4 receptions there. But he gets a great matchup going against Maryland. Worst passing defense in the Big Ten by far. Maybe not by far, but they're the worst passing defense in the Big Ten. And they give up an average of 37 points over in 4 out of their last 5 games. And so obviously Maryland defense, not that good of a defense. And so I do like the idea of betting on Miller for his over 4.5 receptions. If you guys like something else here, you can do that. Maybe 59.5 receiving yards instead. That can be a route that you go. And so not a bad edge there. Now, I'm going to go ahead and get into the bet of the day. I want to call it the promo code on the website first. Use the promo code KEEPCASHING to get 20% off your first 9 to 5 membership, or if you're a returning member, do that. But now let's go ahead and get into my favorite bets for Saturday. All right, so looking at the PrizePicks slip, again, Genty, kind of the middling opportunity, but obviously like the over a little bit more, though. There's a good chance that he does end up middling. I mean, that's a crazy prop line difference. Again, underdogs should never be higher on their lines than PrizePicks. That's, pretty obvious there. DJ Giddens do like the under fantasy score there. Again, that's a little bit of a middling opportunity there, but the data really likes the under there. Tyler Shough, again, a little bit of a middling opportunity there. I like the matchup. Much better matchup for him, and I expect him to be able to go off again. You can hit the middle there if you want. Corey Connor under fantasy score. Lemon to continue to play well, over 10.5 forward fantasy score. And then Miller again, like the matchup, like the targets, 33 targets over the past 2 games. Gets a good matchup against Maryland. And then just a 3-slip bet here for Underdog. Again, Drew to continue to maybe not produce touchdowns, pretty much is the bet there. Again, a little bit of middle, then definitely attacking the middle here. And then Nico, again, I just think in tougher matchups, he's clearly struggled. This is going to be a tougher matchup for him. If you think he's going to play well, again, take advantage of that on PrizePicks. The nice thing about all these college football prop bets and every single week about college football is that we can really pick and choose which side we want to be on and just make the best choices that way. So if you guys are disagreeing with all of these, because both sides value these players differently, we can take advantage of that. And if you guys disagree, bet the opposite of that on the other site. And that's kind of huge as well. Obviously, the data mostly agreeing with the ones I did on PrizePicks. On Underdog, we're not getting enough sportsbook data just yet on all of those. But that's going to do it for this video, guys. Do appreciate you being here. Make sure to give a like. Feel free to share this to other people. That does help out the channel a lot. Comment your guys' favorite prop bet. If there's one that you maybe disagree with or strongly agree with, let us know in the comment section. That does help out a lot. If you guys want access to any of the tools that you saw in this video, head on over to 95sports.com. Get access to those for just $10 a month. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Good luck. And as always, let's keep cashing.